All right, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Cassie Fife, and I'm running for Vice President of Education. I currently live in Miles Davis, and I'm a senior studying English and secondary education.
Okay. Now to the questions. As VP of Education, how do you plan to educate the members to ensure they have all the necessary skills to thrive in our cooperative system?
So in my experience as a pre-service teacher, I found that it works well to come from a desire-based perspective and an asset-based perspective. So analyzing our goals as an organization and going forward with that in collaborative, interactive, and hands-on ways. So I see myself facilitating, supporting, and providing resources to advocate for the interests of our members at large.
Okay. Next question. As VP of Education, you are co-chair to the Health and Wellness Committee, which holds a huge responsibility to mediate conflicts in the SHC. What experience do you have in conflict resolution or with mediation skills?
To start, I attended our SHC conflict resolution this past fall, but I've also held leadership positions in various student organizations. So I co-founded a club called Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages, and we work closely with the English Language Center. And so I've facilitated and planned a lot of events around professional development and conversation hours. I've also held various mentor roles within the College of Arts and Letters, in which I was required to mediate conflict abroad and here, as well as provide resources for internal conflict on things like careers and experiential learning opportunities. It really helps to be in the education field because it's rooted in a lot of interpersonal work. So you're constantly considering your audience, mediating the classroom, and teaching with embodied forms of tenderness.
Okay. As a member of the Education Committee, there are certain responsibilities and roles you and your fellow committee members will fill. Can you speak on what some of these roles are and how you feel they should be most effectively accomplished?
So in my experience with the Education Committee this year, I have exposure to our event planning, our meeting facilitation, and the overseeing of subcommittees such as the Pine Press. So I hope to inherit those connections and those resources to do all of those roles. But I think it's also important to recognize when you should delegate tasks and when you should ask for help and reach out to other people that might be more knowledgeable within and outside of the SHC. And I think another way to do things effectively is through collaboration and cooperation. And I think another opportunity would be to do a lot of outreach and survey to poll our effectiveness and interests within our membership.
Yeah. Where do you feel our membership needs the most support when it comes to education? What initiatives, programs, and/or projects do you feel will be most beneficial for our membership?
To start with what's working well, I think our consent training and our conflict resolution and our skill shares are great opportunities. And to expand on those and to work forward, I would like to provide more services for mental health resources and really root us in what our cooperative principles are. So bringing that to the house level of what are the mechanics and the processes of the SHC so we can all be empowered to claim our agency in this organization, and also lower the stakes of these trainings a little bit. Even though the concepts are very important, we can still do that at a lower stakes that are still intensive and thorough.
Okay. Finally, the Vice President of Education helps plan and facilitate events throughout the year for membership. Talk about your experience in event planning.
Yeah, so I've worked in the College of Arts and Letters for the last 4 years in various intern positions, and I've been responsible for coordinating, advertising, and running events. And some of those are annual, so we get to get a lot of feedback and see how to adapt our events, but other ones we are really hitting the ground running. So I've been charged with representing the student voice of what we see and what we want. And so I think I can take those skills and bring it to our membership and our community. I'm also part of a research group that works on planning focus groups and workshops. And so that's focusing on booking rooms and spaces and bringing materials. And so those skills are directly applicable as well.
Great. And then any closing statements?
I would just like to say that working in education, I have committed myself to this interpersonal work and committed myself to the advocacy of others and empowering others to reach their goals. And I would love to share this passion and my skills with my community.
Great. Thank you. If you could introduce yourself.
Okay. Hi, I'm Riley Bartolotti. I'm from Hedrick House. I moved in there this past August, so it's my first year in the co-ops, and I'm running for VP Education.
Great. We'll jump into the questions now. As VP of Education, how do you plan to educate the members to ensure they have all the skills necessary to thrive in our cooperative system?
I think when I moved into the co-ops, I didn't have the greatest understanding of kind of like what goes on behind the scenes until I joined the board this past January. And so I think like maybe having more events in the beginning of the years that are on like a house basis, like small workshops or something that you can like throw into maybe a house meeting just to kind of like preface what co-op living looks like and kind of like our principles and goals and ideals, then that would be really helpful. Actually today I just talked to somebody about a consent workshop that happened last year that they kind of missed, so I thought that'd be kind of cool to bring back if I'm VP.
Yeah. As VP of Education, you are co-chair to the Health and Wellness Committee, which holds a huge responsibility to mediate conflicts in the SHC. What experience do you have in conflict resolution or with mediation skills?
Okay, so I'm majoring in psychology and I want to be a therapist once I'm done with school, so I think that would be like a really helpful opportunity to have to help me like reach that goal. But the past 2 summers I worked at camp for kids who have disabilities, and there was like a wide range of personalities and ages, and we often had like conflict between the campers that the counselors had a handle. And so I think like working with such a diverse population, I learned how to approach people in different ways that like best accommodates them so they can understand each other better.
Yeah. As a member of the Education Committee, there are certain responsibilities and roles you and your fellow committee members will fill. Can you speak on what some of these roles are and how you feel they should be effectively accomplished?
So I think the Education Committee is really responsible for communicating with the membership about what co-op living looks like, and I think something that I think would be interesting is to like publicize more about what each house has that's unique about them, because sometimes like at my board meetings someone will bring something up that's really unique about their house that I didn't hear of that I think would be cool to like do in my house. And so I know like the Pine Press is a big responsibility in the Education Committee, but I think that could be like a better form of communication if we could kind of revamp it and make it more house focused, so we can kind of like know what's going on around the co-ops that's beyond our house.
Finally, as VP of Education, where do you feel our membership needs the most support when it comes to education? What initiatives, programs, and or projects do you feel would most benefit our membership?
Okay, so in my house, we always talk about like different opportunities to do like maintenance or kind of like projects within our house, but nobody really knows how to do it. And so I think if we planned more events that were, I guess, like mini skill shares that kind of focused on different types of, I guess, like home improvement, that'd be kind of cool. I think by doing so, we'd have like a better chance of improving like house autonomy, and people would be able to do things by themselves in their own houses. So I don't know, maybe like a skill share on sustainability, and each house could like share something unique they do to be more environmentally sustainable, or just like general home improvement things just to like make each house more productive and autonomous, I guess.
Okay. The Vice President of Education helps plan and facilitate events throughout the year for the membership. Talk about your experience in event planning and execution.
Okay, so this is like a while back, but in high school I was my student council president, so I had to plan school-wide events a lot, and I think that helped build my communication and leadership skills like early on. But now in college, I'm working as a research assistant in the autism lab in the psychology department, and we have like a lot of lab events that I kind of have to do like some of the behind-the-scenes work to make sure like the events go smoothly for the families that are involved. Yeah, for my summer camp job, we also had like a lot of promotional events to fundraise, and I would help plan the behind-the-scenes things for that, which I guess is probably like just as important as communicating the events. So I think the Education Committee also has like a similar role of having to communicate but also like do the behind the scenes work. So yeah.
Any closing statements?
Didn't think that. I guess I'm just like really interested in becoming more involved in the SHC. I'm on the board right now, which is really cool, but I'd like to be able to, I guess, be more interactive with the membership and just have like opportunities to help us grow, because we have like a really great foundation, but I think there's a lot of room to make some improvements, and yeah, vote for me.
Yay!
Hello, my name is Shyla. I am from the Harambe House, and I'm going for the VP of Education.
As VP of Education, how do you plan to educate the members to ensure that they have all the skills necessary to thrive in our cooperative system?
So how I see it, the more educated somebody is, the more comfortable they are in their situation, or especially in our case, the place they're living. So what I would do is give smaller doses of education that education committee members could give to their houses. Just something, because I know everyone's busy. I know everyone has school, people have work, community co-ops and student co-ops have lives going on. But giving small doses of education about what a cooperative is, what our organization does, and how they can participate in it will hopefully empower our membership more, so they are more aware of what we do and feel more empowered to, do stuff with us.
As VP of Education, you are co-chair of the Health and Wellness Committee, which holds a huge responsibility to mediate conflicts in the SHC. What experience do you have in conflict resolution or with mediation skills?
So, as my house kind of knows, and as probably my family knows, I like dealing with conflict. I like getting solutions for 2 or more people, because after that point, there's a better understanding about what everybody wants and what everyone expects. I've been doing it for a while, so back when I lived in Disney, I had 2 different housemate situations, and we are super close quarters. So you have 2 people to a room, and then a small common place, and then we all go to work, and you live this life continuously, high stress, 40 to 80 hours a week. So conflict was bound to happen, because you're with totally different people. But sitting down with people, trying to make rules, figuring out when those rules don't work because people want to steal food or steal supplies, or bring people over when they probably shouldn't, and let them stay in the apartment when they probably shouldn't. Yes, it was tension and dramatic things and dramatic problems, but at the same time, dealing with those and trying to find good resolutions for everyone so we didn't leave hating each other by the end of our 8 months was, I'm not going to say fun, but it was an experience, and I would feel comfortable doing it again.
As a member of the Education Committee, there are certain responsibilities and roles you and your fellow committee members will fill. Can you speak what some of these roles are and how you feel that they should be accomplished to be most effective?
So I think the Education Committee member, their role is to educate their house on what our cooperative is and what their members can do in the cooperative, because each person in the house has a different role. And at least when we have the Education Committee member, they have the time and they have the resources to basically share this info with their house, so their house doesn't have to go out and find this information themselves. It's basically, if you need help figuring out what you can do in the cooperative to, let's say, build your resume or build your place in the cooperative more, so you can be more, you want to feel more connected to the overarching houses. Your education officer should be able to give you that information or tell you who to go to get that information.
As VP of Education, where do you feel our membership needs the most support when it comes to education? What initiatives, programs, and/or projects do you feel would be most beneficial for our membership?
So I think what needs to be educated the most is what the membership can do for the cooperative and what the cooperative can do for the membership. Because a lot of our membership will be leaving. I mean, we have a lot of people in MSU, they're going to try to get jobs in other places. And figuring out what kind of skills you can learn in your cooperative and spread elsewhere, and so you can build from this experience and not just kind of be in a housemate situation. You're actually going to use organization to betterment yourself and the organization. I think that's the most important thing to get from this experience of being in the MSU SHC. So it would just be those small doses of information that your education officers could bring to you. It would be adding more positive things in the Pine Press. So we used to do the thing where you could call out your fellow members. And so being able to do that again, so you feel more connected to the overarching cooperative and your housemates feel more validated being being in this kind of community, I think that's a positive thing as well that could be brought back. Some of the other things are just going to be, I can think of them again, I promise. Well, they're not coming to the top of my head at the moment, but as long as our membership gets a better understanding of what the cooperative can do, then I think we'll be in a better spot. And that will also mean getting more in contact with community co-ops and letting them have more opportunities to be educated. So having more things online or more online activities, which would be small. We're not going to give you guys an hour-long interval video and questionnaire to do. We know you have lives. But it's just the idea of doing a 5-minute exercise so you have a better understanding of maybe what our end policies are, or what kind of culture we want to bring to the SHC, or just a small thing of what have we done in the community lately? Who have we donated to? What other cooperatives are we part of? And so just small information doses, just so you have just a better understanding of what we do.
And then lastly, the Vice President of Education helps plan and facilitate events throughout the year for the membership. Talk about your experience in event planning and execution.
Well, so I have done smaller groups, so let's say like around 10 people, maybe that, to do like small events, gathering people up, helping the person who's facilitating it, get all their supplies they need. So usually at LCC, that's usually where it happened. Back when I was in Disney, we would help the program directors make those huge, like 1,000, 2,000 people parties, and they were horrifying. But our job was basically to be their support, because when you have everyone everywhere, and there's a giant quinceañera with 16-year-olds, suddenly there's all the planning in the world doesn't help, and you just need people who know what they're doing. And so that's mainly the expertise I have on that, is just dealing with those big masses and making the decisions on the fly when maybe you don't have the responsibility to do it in the first place, but people depend on you to do it anyways.
Awesome. Anything else?
A little bit. So I want this role to extend our education. The education position has always been a little vague, and so every education officer can bring up something else to the table. I just want to be able to educate our membership, just create some simple baseline. So as we're rotating people in and out, everyone has a good idea of who we are. So if you're at a party and someone asks you, what kind of cooperative, like, what is this place? You have an easy way to explain it, because you know all about this thing. You have been part of it, and even if you don't have an active role in it, you've seen your housemates have an active role in it, and it's been explained to you well enough that you know what you're into. So I hope I've explained everything right enough for you guys.